Маяк передает легкую музыку.
Welcome to the American Dream podcast, the show where I interview Eastern European immigrants to see their perspective of the American dream. I'm your host, Ekaterina. Привет! Today I'm in the studio with Priest Eugene. Welcome to the show. Most of the Eastern European immigrants are religious people. Going back to the 16th century and the Russian kingdom, our culture has always valued faith and religion. During the communist years, a lot of things has changed and religion was prohibited. The government started burning down churches and canceling holidays that are connected to religion. A lot of people felt controlled and were not okay with that, and that's why when the USSR collapsed, a lot of them moved to the United States. So religion became an American dream for most of them, and it will be the main topic of our podcast today. So, Eugene, where were you born, and how did you ended up in United States? And why Missouri?
I was born in Chisinau, Moldova, and it's positioned between Ukraine and Romania, whoever wants to know, close to Black Sea. I have been in America for almost 30 years. Immigrated in 1992 with my parents as a teen. So I've seen a little bit of that world, and I grew up mostly here.
It kind of sounds like my story. I moved here with my mother when I was 16 as well. So we have very similar stories. So why did you move to Missouri?
So growing up in Sacramento, I received my education from there, college, my bachelor degree in electronics, and then getting into career. I was working in Bay Area, which is Silicon Valley. And then everything was so expensive there, couldn't afford a house. So when my family started moving more towards available opportunities to own the land or have a house, they moved to Missouri, and that's where we end up.
So what is your religion?
I grew up in a family of Pentecostal parents.
What is that?
So Pentecostal is a belief or I would say a branch of Christian people, or I would say Presbyterian, that believe in getting baptized in the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues. So it's very similar to Baptists, but they just don't practice speaking in tongues.
So you said it's your family's religion. That's how you choose your religion.
Not necessarily. I grew up in it. I was born into it. So seeing my parents, seeing how things are done, I've seen other or heard or had friends that have, Baptist background, Orthodox background. We all got along fine, so I don't really separate people from as far as their religion or confession. But growing up as a teen, you already have something that your parents, the values they put in you, that was already a huge task to do. So I didn't want to battle any other religions or look into anything else. Just follow that, and then I fell in love with it because that the way my parents lived, it showed me a good example of that I can be as good as them. And I saw how they trusted the Lord. I saw how they leaned on Him in difficult situations. So watching them provide and grow, faith was a big part of their life. Mm-hmm. So I just took it on, and it changed me. It made me better, so I just stuck with it.
So what it's like to follow your native religion in a different country?
I thank God for America because it's very similar styles. So in America, you have different choices and different options. So we were able to find, something that we are accustomed to, and sometimes something that is very similar to us. So it wasn't a huge transition. But it was good to finally freely, come to Sunday services, have festivals and have holidays and have a good time with fellowshipping with other Christian people without, worrying somebody giving you fines and jail and all that stuff like it was in Soviet Union.
How did you come to become a priest?
I didn't come to it on my own. God chose me. He called me into this ministry because He probably saw something or saw the talents I had, but I didn't know I had them. So for a couple of years, I wrestled with the Lord, and I wanted to do something for the Lord. I wanted to do something in ministry, but I didn't know what. And then I had a radical encounter with the Lord, and God changed my heart, changed my mind. And then I realized I can do something for Him. One time we were at camp with youth, and God allowed me to see the picture, to see youth. and he told me that they need a shepherd. So after that, I really felt a calling into ministry, and that's when I started ministering to teens. And after that, it went into youth, and that's how it started.
How did your parents and friends felt about your decision to become a priest?
Like every other parent, they want good for their children.
Right.
So they always try to encourage, and especially Slavic parents, they want to see their kids, be Christian and, have good families. So they try hard. And when they see someone actually stepping into ministry or doing something in church, they actually happy. So this was one way of making my parents, excited and happy. So they supported me all the way. And I had a lot of friends in church, in ministry, that supported me a lot. So that helped me to grow in it.
So where did you receive your specialized education? I'm not sure what to call it. How do people become a priest? Do you have to go to school, or you have to take specific classes at church?
There's different ways you can flow into that ministry. It could be that you feel a call and then you go to Bible school and then get education, then you go into ministry. Or it could be just you have a calling on yourself and God just directs you and guides you. And then, so for me, first I went into ministry, and then I realized that I need to educate myself more. I need to learn more so I can work with youth and young people. So I went here locally to Bible school, which is the Evangel University, but they had night classes, or classes that you don't have to come to the college. You can take classes and then give tests.
Online school?
Online school, yeah, basically. So I did that program for 2 years, and I'm a licensed pastor from Assemblies of God.
Can you marry people?
Yes, I can marry and bury.
So is it hard to become a priest overall?
It's not hard if you are called to it. If you're going to try to make a living or career out of it, it might be hard. Not everyone is called to be a priest. Not everyone called to be a youth pastor. Not everyone called to be a children's ministry pastor. So if you can find what you're called for, you will have less trouble succeeding, if I may say it like that. So as I said, it's very important to know your role in the body of Christ. So if you find your calling, it'll be easier to fulfill, and you're going to be successful.
Is there anything that you had to give up?
I stopped living for myself, and I said to the Lord, since you're going to take me into ministry, I give my life to you, and I started living for the Lord. So I don't have any hobbies. I don't do anything for myself. I do a lot of ministry with youth. So all my needs get fulfilled there. So if I want to play sports, I just play sports with them. If I want to go fishing, I fish with them. So I do a lot with youth, and that's... I just live for Christ.
What about family?
I have a wife and a child. He's 17 years old. They are very supportive. They're with me all the time. So my son been in ministry since he was very little. He grown up fast because of being around older people. And my wife is very supportive, and she's doing ministry with me as well.
So where do you currently work at? And can you tell me about your normal work day?
Sure. I work as a online technical support for Agile and Technologies. My company is in California, and I've been doing this job for 20 years. I think Lord actually led me. I didn't know when I was graduating high school, I didn't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I wanted to pursue. But I knew I liked electronics and to do something like with my hands. So I joined school, and I got graduated, and I joined this job, which now allows me to do a lot of time in ministry. And my days, 8 to 5, I work. And then a lot of evenings, I have meetings at church, meeting with youth, meeting on one-on-one, consultations, just encouraging young people and being supportive.
Well, thank you so much, Eugene, for sharing your story with us. We are upon our break, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back. You're listening to the American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ekaterina, in a studio with the priest Eugene. So I'm sure you had a point in your life when something changed, and you just changed your whole perspective of the American dream. So when you moved to the United States, did your religious perspective stay the same?
When I moved to the United States, I was still a teen, so I was forming my faith, if we could say that. As a teen, you live, or as a child, you grow up and you depend on your parents' faith, like your mom. took you to Orthodox church as well. So growing up, and then finally, when you're mature and you made your own decision to follow Christ, that's when it happened, and that's when my dreams start forming. But they did change over time. They did, because different seasons, there's different dreams that you have and different things you want to accomplish. So I would say my religion didn't change, but my dreams did change over time.
So what do you think about the American dream, and what is your American dream?
It's actually a cool concept of American dream. I know it's became a huge part of America and what people look for and try to succeed in life. And a lot of people have different understandings depending on the background and the family as well. If a person is in a very wealthy family, he'll probably have one sort of dreams. An American dream will look different to him compared to maybe a not so fortunate family that has maybe a low income family, and their dreams might be a little different. So for me, American dream is just dreaming, praying, asking God, and going for it.
So when you were moving here, what were your plans?
In my 20s, I definitely want to get a job, want to create a family, and, like they always say, have to build a house, plant a tree, and give birth to a child. So all three were fulfilled in my life. But now, being in my mid-age, definitely different dreams now.
So do you think you reached your American dream? Is there a limit?
I don't think there's a limit, because as long as you're dreaming, you will live. If you stop dreaming, life will definitely be hard. And I think it's very good to dream. It'll give you purpose to live. It'll give you desires to achieve. And that's what we're here for on earth. I did reach some of the things, but I'm still working on the other things. One of my huge dreams right now at my mid-age is I want to equip and mentor as much as possible young people and help them get firm in faith, get firm in their beliefs, and make good, strong families so they can support the next generation that will be after them. So I don't think I reached my limit. I think there's a lot to dream more, and I have more dreams. But for now, they'll stay with me, because there's no time for them yet. But as far as now, this is my dream, is to equip this generation as much as possible so they can equip the next generation and we can make the world a better place.
So do you think you reached your American dream when it comes to your religion?
Yeah, I would say yes, for sure. It definitely gave me a room to grow and allowed me to be free, to express myself, and to be able to freely grasp the concept of faith and see how strong that will make your family, even in your soul, because our soul is always looking for something it can depend on. And faith and believing is one of the strong foundations that you can have for your soul to be restful and depend on, have a faith, hope in your life. So there's a lot more to American dream. So I'm still dreaming, and hopefully, with God, we can dream more and make him known. So
have you ever thought about giving up on your American dream and moving back?
I moved when I was 13, and I've been here over 30. So I would say a lot of it got forgotten. So I went back to visit a few times, former Soviet Union, and I went where I visited a place where I was born and grew up. It's different after so many years. So I just consider myself here an American, even though I have a background in Slavic background. I say this is my place. There's no dream of going back or desire because that's a different lifestyle.
Are you a citizen?
Yes, I am.
Why did you decide to get a citizenship?
I've got it a long time ago. That wasn't even a struggle for me because I knew I'm in this country. I'm going to make a family here, probably grow old here. So why not support this country and be a citizen?
Do you call yourself American?
I guess I would say, yeah, I would call myself American. But again, most of the Americans here are immigrants at some point. How far back do we go? We're all immigrants. So living here, speaking this language, having family here, being citizen, yeah, I would say I'm American.
So finally, I have a quote from the U.S. Representative Louis Gohmert about America's founders. Here's the quote. Their American dream was not centered on a paycheck or a job or a house. It was not anchored in government control or climbing the ladder of political power. It was rooted in religious freedom. I feel like this quote could also be said about Eastern European immigrants. Many Americans think that immigrants come to this country only for money and success. Yes, it's definitely part of it, but that's the materialistic part of this dream. America itself is a very comforting country, so there's a lot more to the American dream than just coming for money. What are your thoughts on that?
People are people and humans are humans. There's always that percentage that do come only for success and money, but majority is not like that. Majority does come for to build strong families, to have a freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of just living your fate out. So America definitely made a good place for that. And a lot of people do come for that here. Of course, there's always that percentage that will come only for money and material things. But as majority, I believe majority do come for freedom of religion and build strong families and have a strong faith.
Thank you, Eugene, for coming in today. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcast TAD.